Be nice if someone would type and tell me if you can hear me. I'm ready to go. Assuming I get confirmation that the sound has been taken care of. So, would appreciate if someone would type and just say hi. I guess there isn't anybody in the game right I see that there's somebody watching. I don't know who it is. So whoever you are, welcome, hello. And I'll just go on the assumption that there is sound because I was getting the sound loop before. So we're in our game, 211 mods. Although I am planning on reducing that a little bit. Okay, this is the engineering tech tree. I have 88 science points and there's a lot of things I can do here. Alright, so right now I'm just taking a look to see what science categories I could unlock if I wanted to. Alright, so I think I'm just going to have to hold off right now, advanced landing. So, hello everybody. I see I got a new view. Someone else just popped in. Oh, great. Duck, thank you very much for taking the time to do that. I do appreciate it. Is the sound okay? I'm going to go on the assumption it is. But I do appreciate your taking the time. And welcome, and I hope you enjoy the evening. All right. Alright, so let me go take a look and see what I have in terms of contracts. My active contracts is orbital survey of Minmus and test a Commodore liquid fuel engine. And looking at the orbital survey, it's just something which I had started last week. Alright, and I actually hadn't done it properly, so we'll just go ahead and continue. So Duck, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Great. All I have to do now is remember the settings for next week. But we shall see. I've been very busy the past week working on the Suicide Burn mod. Unfortunately, it's not yet ready to go. I've also been busy working with someone else on the forums to bring back a mod which I demoed last week, which was the Munar Industries, a whole set of tanks. We've made a lot of progress, and I will be hopefully getting those out sometime this week. Finally, the 2.5 meter spaceplane parts, which had been on hold because of a licensing issue, has been released. The author got in touch with me and was very happy to change the license from a restricted one to, I believe it was MIT. So that also will be coming out in the next couple of days. That one I'm actually going to bring out as a beta, and I'm going to set up a challenge because I want people to actually try it and see what sort of shuttles and space planes they can make using these new parts, with the eventual goal of including some of the best ones as vessels along in the mod. All right, so that's pretty much what's coming in the next few days. So right now we are looking at orbital survey of Minmus, which is right here. Let me pull up the last vessel I had, which was the one which, unfortunately, didn't have the right science. So we shall basically fix it up. All right. So this is looking for material, irradiance, and material from two things. We do not need this, which was the scanner. All right. So multispectral, multi-Gorsat. There we go. And let's see how big it is. Oh, it's not too bad. Whoops. Hello. I use WASD editor controls, and in general it works very nicely, but sometimes I forget exactly which keys are which. And let's make sure that it'll deploy properly. Let's do that. Just make more sense. Have it deploy the other direction. Retract the imager. Great. Okay, material study. Materials study. Okay. Now, you saw here all right. You have here, which is what is does material studies. This is what people normally use. It's kind of big, isn't it? Okay, but this also popped up, which is this material study mini lab. Okay, this is from a mod called the Hurricane. The Hurricane, I added this to the game during the week, and let's just see if I can. The Hurricane is a probe. Okay, which it does not appear to have been fully updated in this tech tree, so I don't have the probe part, all the probe parts, but I do have a couple of them. Okay, so science over there. Okay. Barometer. Hurricane. Right. So I'm not sure if I want to use this one. And actually, it even looks like the Hurricane preset barometer materials. Oh, this isn't mine. This is from, this is from Umbra Space Industries, which are the sounding rockets. So I could do that, which makes sense. We don't really need to put this big thing up there. Okay. And the reason that looked a little similar, why I got confused, is that that's Rover Dude's mod, one of Rover Dude's mods, and he very kindly gave me permission to use the model, for the Hurricane, but I did not duplicate the experiments. I put my own experiments there. So let me see. This would be record materials data. Okay. So we need to do it from low, and just in case it doesn't want to reset, what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to put two of them on. Okay? And that way I'll be able to do one at low and one at high. Okay. So I think that I've got the spectral. Okay, good. 1, 2, got the multi-circle, got the, right, it's right there. Got the material irradiance scanner. IRRAD. That's a little odd. I don't know which one that would be off the top of my head. Let's take a look at this. It might be a requirement which I can't do because the experiment isn't here yet. Multispectral. So actually, I'm going to take a quick search. I want to make sure, just verify that I don't have it. KSP. That's from D-Magic Automated Science Sampler. The Gorset. Okay, so that would be there, irradiance scan. Great. And how big is that? Not too big. Okay. Now the interesting thing about this is that great. All right. That either they have to transmit back science or I have to return it. All right. Now I'm going to take a chance that there is well, all of these are new for this going around Minmus, so we should be fine in terms of the in terms of not having to worry about bringing anything back. All right, there we go. Great. So that takes care of the science, and the other part of this contract, the other contract, is to test the Commodore liquid fuel engine. All right. So let's take a look at the engines. Commodore would be, there we go. Not sure what it is. How big is it? Whoa! It's a little big. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to pass on that for right now. It's too big for me to actually get it up. How much does it weigh? Eesh. This weighs 4.6 tons. And even if let me do this. Can we rescale it? I suppose. So let me do this. Let me see. Not entirely fair, I guess, but could that go smaller? Yes. It seems like these guys are attached to the engine, so let's do this. 2, 3, 4. Alright. So this is 1400, just a curiosity to see how it works here. That was 1100. It's actually going to give me a little bit more delta V. So, all right. I'm not going to worry too much about it. It's not that much of a big of a thing. All right. Hello, Pap. How are you? I'm doing fine. As had my usual issues with sound, but I think I'm slowly coming in on a set of settings here, which will work. I spent a lot of time beforehand working on it, and then of course I changed scenes and I didn't migrate settings over to the new scene. So it's working now, I'm told, and I'm doing good. Been a little busy this week. Suicide Burn mod is driving me up the wall. Not only the mod itself is simple, but when you start dealing with KSP and the fact that it ticks every 2/100ths of a second, and it's not when you're throttling, everything isn't perfectly scaled. So sometimes I got it working properly and then I make a small change and then it doesn't work, and sometimes literally one tick to the next values change. So I'm not ready to release it yet. Hello, Epic Sauce. And did someone come and raid me? No, but all right. Anyway, so this mission is we're going to be going back to Minmus because last week when I did this mission I didn't put the right science onto the vessel. This time I did, and I also it wants me to test the Commodore liquid fuel engine, which is rather big. So I use tweak scale to downsize it to make it fit and work properly in here. Hopefully it won't invalidate the contract. All right. So, one thing I'm going to do later in the stream tonight is I'm actually going to show how to make a checklist. For example, spaceship checklist has things like KS tools and inventory. That's only relevant if you have a manned vessel. And some other things. So I've done some things here. Hopefully the settings in OBS will work, so I can show you how I go into an editor and actually work on the file. Okay, but in the meantime, electricity storage is what is my electricity storage right now? Okay. Battery is 400. So I'm going to just 4 tons. I'm going to change this to 400, but I think that worked. Okay. And RCS. All right. It's looking for. It says all criteria. So RCS, the way it said is it wants 4 RCSs and 200 monoprop. And let me just take a look at this. Okay. So in terms of RCS, I have 4, 1, 2, 3, and there's one on the other side. And monoprop, there's a monoprop right in there. And it has 80 units. I'm just trying to see if I want to. You see, the problem is that there's a bug here, and the RCS is not properly updating. So I'm going to make a note here. Just give me a second. Bear with me. Apps, Notepad. It might also be the, I just realized, it's not, it's the regular 105. That's the mono prop. Okay, so that'll do. So let's put this all back together. Wait. All right, Pap, have there been any updates to your contracts? Okay, so we are going to save this as Minmus Science 1. Okay, save that. Let's go launch it. So Epic Sauce, I just saw your message about flying an airplane. What happened, if you want to tell? All right. So given the size of the game, there we go. It's loading now. All right. So I'm just going to close that for right now. All right. So we are going to be going to Minmus, which is right there. All right, so let us pull up gravity turn and start, blah, blah, blah. It all looks good. All right, so this is the Minmus Science one, our second attempt at it. 3, 2, 1, and launch. I'm sorry. I should have warned you about the sound. Is the engine noise too loud for you? Once the launch is done, I will, let me do that right now. Go into the settings, sound, audio, music, spacecraft. We'll drop that down to about 45%. Okay, let me know how that is, okay? Hello, Ozzy, and everybody, those of you who are here, Ozzy just popped in. I guess he's rating me because my numbers just went up. Ozzy is a really good streamer. Please go ahead and give him a follow if you haven't already. He's a lot of fun and he's really nice and cool. Well, then I guess I'm not too old, Epic Sauce, because it's not too loud for me. Hello, Ozzy. Did you have a good stream tonight? Yeah, but there's this thing about losing your eardrums also. Thank you, Ozzy. Thank you for popping in. Appreciate it. And you came in at the right time because mission's just starting and I got my sound problems all taken care of. So you didn't have to sit through my fiddling with the different sound settings this week. Thank you, Ozzy. I hope to have a good stream also. Later on the stream, I will be showing how to edit the checklist for Warner's Checker. I don't have any mods to show off tonight. I was hoping to do Suicide Burn, but it's been giving me headaches in terms of my... what a nice separation. And in terms of working properly. So, let's get full throttle there. Jim Malenti, hello and welcome, and thank you for the host. Everyone, another great streamer just showed up. Jim Malenti, he's really chill and everything. Both Ozzy and Jim are members of the Rocket Jockeys, which I am, I believe, the newest member right now. I took that claim away from, I forget who it was, but someone else was saying he was the newest, and then I got invited in. So, all right. Anyway, we are at 52 kilometers. We're heading to a orbit of about 80, which is a little low for this, but that's okay. We're at 1,300 meters per second, and we're making good progress. Let's see where we are in relation to Minmus while it's going in. Oops, I see Scatter's having problems again. We're over there, and Minmus is over this. Looks like I'm going to have to do an orbit. There's no way I'm going to be able to do it on the same orbit. Okay. That's fine. Ozzy, enjoy and thanks again. Feel free to pop in anytime. Okay. So we are almost in orbit. I like looking at gravity turn at the way it controls the throttle. The fact that it's constantly adjusting it makes me feel better about the suicide burn, because it's at times it's constantly moving. The only thing I don't like about it is that it seems to jump rather drastically, going from like 0 to whatever. And I'm not talking about the takeoff, but I was seeing it bounce from like 2/3 and then immediately drop back to 1/3. So I would expect it to be a little bit smoother. Not complaining. It's a great mod. Does a better job of getting you into orbit than MechJeb does. I used to swear by MechJeb in terms of getting my vessels into orbit, and now I swear at it, because MechJeb does not seem to be able to keep it going steady. It wobbles. So I've pretty much decided, and since Gravity Turn has made a whole bunch of improvements since it was first released, I'm using that from now on. When Gravity Turn was first released, and I did a launch similar to this back then, it literally went halfway around the world before getting to orbit. It was extremely efficient, but it took a long time. Among other things, he's added the integration with MechJeb, so now he's going to have MechJeb actually do the orbit circularization for him, which MechJeb does very well. MechJeb is great. I love it, but not everything is perfect. And okay, what happened? Oh. We run out of... Okay, MechJeb didn't do the staging. I think that's a bug. Or not. Actually, I think it is. I'll need to send a message to the Gravity Turn. That if staging is allowed, okay, great. All right, so we made it to orbit. 80 kilometers, which is a little low, but let's see what we got here. We are going over there. We are, okay, we're too far, so let's do this. Alright, so now I'm going to use trajectories. Okay, which are a nice little mod, which I, not trajectories, that's now I can't remember it. Slingshotter. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to set a maneuver node there, and now I can actually see how things work. So this is showing me that I'm going to get there way behind it. So I need to actually adjust it so that I get out there right about there. Very nice. Whoops. Yeah, it's a little late, so I need to move a little bit more. Alright. Now, I'm going to need a need to move it up because we're way below. And there we get our encounter. Isn't that nice? The slingshot has made getting the encounters with Minmus so much nicer. So we have a burn in 19 minutes, and that's 900 meters per second. Let's take a look at the delta V stats just to be safe. And we got more than enough. That's so. I'm actually going to be able to use the second stage, the second and a half stage, to do it, and that'll leave me with 3,500. No, I'm sorry. I have 3,500 in the current stage. I have more than enough. Let's not worry about it. Okay. So put slingshot away, and Kerbal alarm clock. Do okay, turn on RCS and get ourselves pointing in the right direction. Now, Ray, gravity turn can work with MechJeb if it's there. Okay, I'll show you in the next launch. And by the way, hi Ray, haven't seen you for a while. Welcome. But anyway, so gravity turn, what it'll do, it gets you up to 70 kilometers or whatever. I guess if you're using some of the other, like Oro, whatever, it works there also. But once it gets past there, it then hands control over to MechJeb to do the orbit circularization. Okay, so you can have your target orbit at whatever you want it to be, and if you want gravity turn to do so. Let me see if it'll show it here. Okay. Setup. I don't see it. Auto stage. Use time warp. We'll have to pull it up when it's when I'm actually needing to do it. But yes, it does, and it works very nicely. All right. So we got that, and I need Kerbal alarm clock. And one of these days I'll spend some time and I'll actually set up janitor's closet to keep this a little bit more under control. Add alarm, and let's go ahead and warp. Alright, I think we can. It's not so settings that far out. I'm just a little concerned over here that it's getting off because during the warp, but it's not that far. We'll be able to adjust it easily enough. Okay, it's an 80-second burn, so I don't have a lot of time here. Okay, basically at T-minus 40 is when I'm going to have to. Come on. There you go. There you go. All right. And like that. All right. Armor 3, huh? I gather it's a good game then. I haven't played it. I really don't have time to do anything right now other than Kerbal, doing the mods, and right now I have two mods which are in progress in terms of migrating, updating, and one mod which I'm writing. Okay, the updating ones is Moonar Industries. I'm working with, I guess, Carnegie, Nick, or NC or something on the forums, and the 2.5 meter space plane, which I hope to get out in the next day or so in a more formal release. Right now, it's going to be a beta, and I want to come up with a challenge to get people to actually use it, and I just have to do a little thinking about that before I do that. Anyway, excuse me for a second while I do this. I went a little too far. Yeah. All right. But that'll be fine. When we get here, I will I'll make an adjustment. Okay. So in order for that that burn is in an hour. Simulation of what, Ray? Like I said, I don't recall. I haven't seen you around. You must play at times that I'm either working, whatever. So enlighten me. All right, so let's get this. Turn that off. Do this. Oh, okay. That actually sounds like something I might be interested in. I used to play board games of military simulations way back when they were a big thing. Okay, great. So in 1 hour, let's add that. Okay. No, I'm not playing this on Linux. There's no need to. Back in the 1.04, 1.05, when 64-bit wasn't working well on Windows, I was playing on Linux, and I would have a game, games which would take 4 to 5 gig of memory back then. But frankly, Linux is not the best desktop. Windows is. Well, I know there are people who are going to say that Windows is not as good as the Mac, and I don't want to get into an argument. Suffice to say that my main desktop is a Windows, and it works very well. Ray, have you ever played Panzer Blitz? I have a friend who actually still has a copy of that. So in case anyone's curious, right now this game is taking 3.8 gig of memory. Blitzkrieg. Blitzkrieg was a good game. I don't recall playing it that often. And it's been so long that... Okay. So what we're going to do here, we're going to do the orbital adjustment in order to get up, in order for the plane. And then we will worry about finalizing the orbit so that we actually get an intercept, because I think I'm going a little too fast for it. Anyway, we have a 2-second burn. What I'm going to do actually is, just to make things a little easier, drop the thrust down to about 50%. Make it an 8-second burn. All right. Not that I want to get this into a huge board game discussion. Oh, I couldn't stand Starfleet battles, I'm sorry. There was a game called War in the Pacific, which the instruction manual was... hold on a second. The instruction manual was 67 pages long. And the errata was 15 pages long. And if you laid out the entire board, it would be bigger than a ping pong table. I kid you not. Yeah, okay. So what I want to do now is go retrograde. If you played that game one turn a week, it would take you five years to play it. I don't know anyone who ever completed it, but the nice thing about it was that you were able to do campaigns instead of having to do the whole entire War in the Pacific. But it was humongous. It makes KSP look like child's play. I actually had a copy and I ended up selling it. Whoops. Come on back. Basically, I want to go retrograde a little bit in order to get that encounter back. Okay, and I'm going to do this like this. Okay. Very minor, very low on the engine. We'll see what happens. Yeah, well. Had an interesting discussion on the forums the other day about cheaters and also about fuel balancing. And it's amazing how some people get so emotional over something which is totally meaningless. Oh. Yeah, well, there's our encounter again. Wait. I had to slow down more than I expected. Let's do a focus view. By the way, in here, let's do that. Focus view. So we are going to be coming in a little down. That's okay. If I was a if the mission had more specific requirements than just getting into orbit and doing a high and a low orbit, I would worry about getting this in the proper plane. But as long as I have an orbit, okay, and you can see here, it just says I want to be in orbit, and then when I get there, to test that engine. All right, so I'm not going to worry about it. All right, so in the meantime, let's do this. Extend all the solar. Extend the antenna. And let's toggle the imager. Oops, too high for that. Okay, fine. Anything I can do here? And let's log it. And we'll broadcast it back. Okay. And I'm not hearing Chatterer. Strange. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Alright. I think, and the other one was the material study, which we're not going to do that because I need to do that at high and low altitude. So I'm going to save those for in orbit around Minmus. Okay. Crawl away. Gamer's Circle. Hello and welcome. Thank you, everyone. Gamer's Circle is, despite what he always says that he knows absolutely nothing about rockets, actually plays the game pretty darn well. And I watch him. So if you haven't seen him, go ahead and say hi and follow him and just watch him the next time he comes online. He's really good. And ignore everything he says about he doesn't know anything about rockets. He does. Well, he kind of does. He knows enough to be able to play the game, and that's really all that we need to know over here. Okay. So, yeah, I know, Gamer Circle, Suicide Burn is giving me fits. I'm not ready to commit suicide yet, but it's a, what you tried the other day showed me a couple of issues, and I've been working on them, and you fix one thing, and then it works fine for one and not for another. So I had it working perfectly well landing on Kerbin, and then you showed me that on the Mun it wasn't working too well. And so I fixed that, and now it's not landing on Kerbin again. And part of the issue here is the different levels of gravity and the different amounts of TWR that I'm using in my testing. All right. So I'm working on it. I'm making progress. It's just a matter of getting the calculations down right. And if there's somebody out there who knows calculus, who's willing to spend some time with me, I would love it. Because I suspect that some of my issues is because KSP doesn't do calculus internally. It's doing approximations, and I can't get those going right. And yes, Gamer Circle, you did help a lot. Thank you. So just to summarize for those people who just recently popped in, I'm going to Minmus to get some science there. And this is the second time I'm doing this, trying to do this mission. Last week, I tried the mission, only I forgot to put the science on the vessel. Duh. So I got the right science on, and I also got an engine on, which I had to tweak scale down because it was just way too big. It's one of those things, I don't mind making something a bit smaller. Well, I had to make it more than a bit smaller. But I'll show you the engine when I get there. Okay, now I'm pretty sure that there's nothing to be seen here. Take a look. Nope, nothing there. And oh, look, we got science. Great. And let's do the broadcast. And we're uploading data. Great. Okay. Great. Okay. I spend more time actually coding and writing mods than I actually do playing the game. So these streams are a bit of an attempt to balance a little bit. So I get to play, I get to show off some of the stuff I'm doing. And I get to have a little fun with all of you. Okay, so let's go here. And I've learned the hard way not to warp all the way to an SOI. I believe it's improved a lot, but I just don't bother. All right, so let's go now. I'll do that here. Okay, so we're actually going to be a little far out, but that's okay. We are about to enter the SOI of Minmus. Well, Ray, if I actually put a short clip up onto YouTube showing what happens when one stages the booster rockets while you're still on the pad. And what had happened was there was a little bit of lag, and I thought I hadn't hit the space bar. So the main rocket settled back down to the pad, the boosters went away, and believe it or not, it didn't explode. So I was able to recover that and had a bit of fun. There we go. We have now gotten in, and we shall add a maneuver here, and now let's go and circularize. Whoops, it's still too much. Okay, so the contract actually is this. High orbit, low orbit, high orbit, high orbit. Okay, and this just anywhere in orbit around Minmus. So I suspect this is high orbit, and that is going to be low orbit. Okay, great. So turn off SCS, do this. It's my pleasure, Ray. Really is. I mean, for me, half the fun is the actual modding itself. This is the only game I've ever modded. And it's in both in terms of writing mods and in using them. All right, I have never added mods onto games. I've used DLC, but that's not the same as mods. Well, that's why when I took over Werner's Checker, I added the ability for it to work in the flight scene as well as in the editor. And then, silly me, I didn't bother to actually go check it. Okay, so we're on track for in an hour and 42 minutes. In the meantime, let's see if there's any science I can get out of this thing. Okay, log imaging, too high. Toggle. We shall transmit the data. Carefully watch the electric charge. Okay, do this. We shall log in a radiant scan. Okay. I wish that there was a way of finding out how much electric is going to be needed when you're going to be broadcasting. And I'm sure that somebody could write a mod. Not me. There's certain things I'm interested in, certain things I'm not. All right, so there goes the data from, oops, and yeah. Look how close we got to running out of electricity there. Now the nice thing is that if you take a look at the solar panels, I have lots of solar panels here, and these guys, which I added, are from, I believe, the Surface Experiment package, but they work very nicely because they're angled slightly. All right, will this work? Yes. Okay, so if you see here, you see that I have them angled down and angled up a little bit. So even if I was perfectly edge on to the sun, a little bit of power would come through, and that way I would be able to get a little bit and then be able to move the ship. if I didn't have these, I would be forced to put a solar panel on top and then somehow put a solar panel on the bottom, so that, again, I can make sure that I got power in all directions. I do not use Ampere, which has special batteries for reserve power. I use Fusebox instead, which is something that I'm maintaining, and I've made some additions to it. But it's basically a simpler version of Ampere. Now, I was told that Ampere was actually derived from Fusebox, and I can believe it because I've looked at the code on both of them, and they're very, very similar. Okay, not knocking Ampere, but one of the things I found when I took it over was that there was a very severe performance bug, which I fixed. I also contacted the author and maintainer of Ampere about it because it was affecting his as well. I do not believe he has fixed it as yet. We'll have to see. Okay, so I'm going to just go ahead and warp. We have 30 minutes to go. There we go. And it is a 56-second burn. Because I didn't, we'll delete it. The burn is a lot less than 56 seconds. It is now 16 seconds. We are perfectly lined up. It was 56 because I had limited the thrust on the engine. Now you're seeing some flickering. I'm pretty sure that is scatterer causing the problems. Not sure exactly how to fix it. I'm just going to live with it for right now. All right, and just warp it a little bit faster. Okay, and here we go. Our circularization burn. We're getting there. And orbit. Okay. Now, I want to get that periapsis as low as possible. So, just using a little bit of thrust. And what I'm doing, I'm watching over here actually, rather than having to hover over that. Okay. 25 should do it. There we go. All right. So we now are in orbit. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is go for my material study in high orbit. Okay, record materials data and transmit it back. Yes, I know it's going to go away. All right. Got the irradiance data. Got the multispectral scan. Okay. I guess that was, I already did that when I, too high. Even though I wasn't in orbit, it considered it as being fulfilled. All right, so now, no other science on here. I didn't put a thermometer on. Okay, so now it's time to, let's get a little lower here. Warp here. And what I'm going to do is actually, I am going to throttle to 0. I'm going to stage. Okay. Okay. So we've now staged. And it's going away. Great. That fulfilled my contract for testing the engine. Okay, you see here, orbital survey, Interesting. It's not showing me. Yep, test complete. Great. Okay. All right. So now, let's get to the PE. And when we get there, we will conduct all science. Perform all science. Keep that. I do have a thermometer. Great. Keep that. Okay, I think that the multispectral scan I need to let go for a while. So in the meantime, let's transmit data. See what happens. I'm more concerned about my electric charge, but it should be okay. Let's go broadside to the sun. All right. So does anyone know off the top of your head if the multispectral scanner, oh, why did I have two of those on there? That was bad. All right. If the multispectral scanner needs to, oh yeah, it has to go for a while. Is it a one-time thing or what? And also, what's the optimal altitude for it? So it says here that it's a suboptimal altitude, so I'm assuming it has to be up higher. So let's do this. Let's go retrograde. Whoops, I've lost my connection, haven't I? No. Oh, I've lost my power, so I have to wait until we get back into the sun. There we go. Okay, so when I do this, I can still go point retrograde. I'm trying to get to a more circular low orbit. We'll do that, okay? So, and that's... Let's check the multispectral scanner again, see if it should be in a still suboptimal. My altitude is 113. What was that scan set? Huh. Oh well, not gonna worry about it. So have I fulfilled all the contracts yet? I can always come back here. Oh, material study. I did do the material study at low orbit. Why does it say that I didn't? Huh. That's a little strange, but I know that I did it. Multispectral analysis done, evading scan. Doesn't show the, see, that's odd, because I know I did it. You saw me do it. And this is one of those things where it just doesn't want to work properly. I guess the irradiance scan needs to be a high orbit, because that's where it worked. Let's forget that, and I'm just a little annoyed now because of this. The material study lab, unless these little guys don't fulfill the requirements which the contract is looking for. Doesn't make sense because it says, but all right. Alrighty. This is going to be one of those things where I think I'm going to call it as that contract was fulfilled, rather than go with the fact that there's a bug. All right. I don't understand why. Maybe some other time, but I'm gonna make a command decision, say that this is a fulfilled contract. So let's go back to the Space Center. Okay. I don't know, Pap. Let me before I take care of it. No, it's a D-Magic contract. Okay, so not sure why, but we'll just, like I said, I'm just going to mark it as complete. What I will do, however, in case I want to come back to this later, unfinished contract issue. Save that. All right, and this I have to remember how to do now. Contracts active. We're going to complete it. Great. All right. So now I got 243 science. That's going to be pretty darn good in terms of getting some more science upgrades. All right. So, actually, before I do that, let me see what we have in the way of contracts coming down the pike. Hello, Kulini 14, and welcome to the stream. Okay, career evolution. We have moon exploration, soft landing. I think I'm just about ready to do that. Okay, Minmus, also a soft landing. All right. Crude milestones. First docking. We've done that already. Oh no, we've done rendezvous. We haven't done docking. All right, so we'll take that. It seems kind of silly going to go to the moon or to Minmus and not have any dockings yet. Uncrewed flybys. Okay, forget those. Those are too far away right now. Okay, so bases and stations. Launch the Minmus space station. We'll pass on that. CleverSat. Minmus. Okay. Only problem with the CleverSat contracts is that they're looking for really strange orbits. And right now I don't want to do that. Field research. Biome study. Not yet. Kerbal Academy. Advanced piloting and flight school. So this would be for Jebediah. Okay. Flight school would be... This is... Okay. Equilateral. This is around Kerbin, and then reach orbit about Mun, and then come on back. Expires in 3 days. Expires in 2 days. Waypoint 1, waypoint 2. Problem is that I haven't done any airplanes in this career so far. I'll take this one, but not airplanes since I haven't done anything. It doesn't really make sense. Forget those two. Part testing. Anything simple? But we can test something at the launch site. Just get some credits. Okay. And this wants to test on a suborbital flight. Oh, that's the air augmented solid booster. I've never played with that. That was something new here. So that... Oh, it has to be the Mun suborbital. Forget that. Doesn't make sense to have an air augmented solid booster in flight around the Mun. And I'm not going to go to Duna. Okay. Rover missions. Rover deployment to the Mun. And this would be to which location in Kerbin. And actually, I'm a little nervous about this because I haven't tested this with the new wheels yet. So I'll pass. ScanSat, seismic contract. That's on all the Mun again. Tourism. Well, I don't think I really need the money, but 6 tourists. They want to go to Minmus and Kerbin and Kerbin, Minmus, Mun, Minmus, Mun, Minmus. That gets to be a little complicated, just in terms of remembering who has to go where. Minmus, Kerbin, Minmus. So I'm going to pass on that for right now. And finally, the unmanned missions. Eve, put a probe in orbit around the Mun, which has been done. Okay. All right, let me see what I have in terms of active. I got the testing and the first docking. I think that'll be good enough. I could, Kulani, but I don't have the, well, That's what I wanted to see here. Right now I only have single Kerbal pods. I will, for something like that, I might have to use multiples, but I don't like the idea of stacking multiple Mark 1 pods on top of each other. Alright, so advanced rocketry. That's it. Actually, what I'm looking for is this. Advanced unmanned. Nope, not that. Oh, that's the Octoset. We'll get to that later. Looking for the manned. Here we are. Got that. Cannot research. Okay, what I really need is this. Okay. Or this. That needs 350. I can't do that for other reasons. Okay. So right now I have, this is the Mark III, which has crew capacity of 2. It's the K2, which is also its crew capacity of 2. And then we got the Hitchhiker, which is 4, and the Service Container, which is 2. Okay. Back in here and see what I can do now. So to do this, I need 350. I don't have it yet. Okay. Base station tech. Okay. So I could do that, I suppose, in terms of getting the putting something up, but I'm just not thrilled about it. On the other hand, so I actually need to put 7 Kerbals into orbit for this. The 6 passengers and the pilot. So it could be that plus a pod. All right, let's go take that contract. It's going to be interesting. Available. Tourism. Ferry 6 tourists to their destinations. Alright. So what I'm actually going to do is to not do this just yet. I'm going to do one of those other contracts. Let's get Jebediah. I don't have a mod list coolly. Just scroll down and you'll... Ooh, my game crashed. Why? I don't know. I only had 4 gig of memory, and I have, and I had 10 gig available. Well, bear with me while I bring it back up. All right. Sorry about that. So anyway, Kulini, scroll down, and you'll see a below the system specs. You'll see a link to a Google spreadsheet, which has all my mods. Alright, so now let me see something. Bear with me. I want to see if I have things set up properly so I can show you the editor. I'll have to show the editor some other time. It does not appear that I finished setting up the desktop viewers, and unfortunately, I don't want to spend time now. Raging Irishman, hello and welcome. You're coming in just after a game crash. So we're reloading it. It's going to take a couple of minutes to get there. And in this particular case, you shall enable the quick start. Quick start is a little mod, I believe, made by Mala. Yeah, Mala. And basically what it's going to do is just bypass the menus and take me directly to the game. Okay, so save a few seconds. That was actually a nice picture. Once I get some more images, I'm going to be able to stop using the stock images as part of the loading. Excuse me. But I love these. It's like, yes, conspiracy theorists arise. Kerbals were around when we went to the moon. So, for those interested, it was 28,000 patches by Module Manager. So, Kulini, what sort of configs are you referring to? Oh, Raptor configs? Ah, okay. Alright, so we were heading into here. So that was a crash after about an hour and a half of gaming. Don't understand why, but then again, we had a problem, which probably could have been an indication. The problem with the contract could have been an indication that something was about to crash. Alright, here we are. So now, what contract we're looking for is test the orbital maneuvering engine on the launch pad. Get that. And engines. 601. Doesn't matter. It'll work. Nope. Now, a mod which I added was something called Crew R&R. Crew R&R is a mod that I took over. It basically puts the sends the Kerbals on vacation for a couple of weeks after they finish the mission. So this is going to be very simple. There was fuel here? Oh. Really? Interesting. I didn't know that this one was a monoprop engine. It's an awfully big monoprop engine, but let's recover it. Just got that contract done. Raging Irishman, I do not have any restrictions. Go ahead and post your link. But thank you for asking. Alright. Great. So we gathered one piece of data. So that's that contract. Let's go into the next. So actually that that pilot isn't going to be around this time. So Raging Irishman, thank you very much. I will take a look at it later. Ooh, very nice. Yes, I know. I know Loopy. I've been I've chatted with him in EJ's thing. Okay, so we don't need that. We don't need that. Don't save. So now we need to get Jebediah to go into a equilateral orbit, easy enough, and then to go to the Mun and get to orbit there, and then of course he needs to come back. So I think I have something which did this already. All right, that would be not sure if this one had a probe or if it was a... No. Okay. So... Oh, right. So what I'm going to do is pretty much keep the rocket. Okay. And get rid of the probe. All right. Okay. Now, actually, that may actually be done. Oh, I don't need the that. That's a fuel tank and another fuel tank, and that's my engine. Oops. This is the bike. This is that. Oh, I used a bicoupler there. Let's do that. That uses monoprop. I don't want a monoprop engine there. That's rather too powerful. Okay, let's see what we got in the way of KW. All W. $204, $230, and that would be 90, 350. This is a better faster is a better engine for the vacuum. Right? What happened there? Okay. There we go. All right, so let's review. Let's take a good look at this. It's actually, though, what happened here? My staging got messed up, so we have here. Hello, Smeklept, if I got that right. And welcome to the stream. 1, 2, great. 2, great. We got that one. So actually this is not enough. Because I had so much more weight up there, most likely. So that is, whoops, hey, let's do this. Come on. Thank you. Thanks. What we got here? So now we got 27 to there. Not quite good enough. Not what I want yet. Oh, and also need a deep. Oh, that is the decoupler. Okay. So let's do this. All right, and for okay, 23. $47. It's still not enough. All right, I suppose I could keep lumping more and more on here, but let's look at this and see if maybe, what do I have here? I have the Wildcat engines. The Wildcat has 285, 280 to 340. That's the Maverick. 300. Next bus there is 326. Oh, that's just too big for it. Okay. Maybe I need to do this as a, let me see what sort of larger tanks I have. Do I have 2.5? Not a lot. Actually, for this, I'm going to use this one. Height all, one size 1, 2, and any chance of 3s? No, didn't think I had 3s at this point. I got the FT800, Mark 1, quarter jumbo. I need too many of those. Let me go out for a moment and take a look at the science, at the research. Maybe I can get something which will help. Alright, tech tree, we want here, advanced rocketry, which is gonna, that's what I need. 200, it's gonna use up most of my science, but that gives me all of these, the big KW tanks. Yeah, okay. Just a curiosity, got that. Advanced rocketry, we don't need that. I just want to make sure that I'm not missing something somewhere else. All right. So we shall take the advanced rocketry, get the big tanks, use up my research, and build a new rocket from scratch. So hopefully next week I will actually, well, again, I'm going to have some new stuff to demo next week. If nothing else, it'll be the space plane and the Munar Industries series of tanks. With a little bit of luck, if I get things going, I might even be able to have a version of the suicide burn mod released. But don't hold your breath in that. It's not an easy one to do. All right, I'm going to do a new here. So we shall start off here. Oh, and nothing's coming up because I have module. All my mods, there's a filtering. So wall. There we go. Okay. So K2 weighs 1.31. Walk 2 weighs 84. And this one weighs 2.3. So guess what I'm going to do? It's the Mark 1. I guess Jebediah is going to be a little cramped for a little while, but I think he'll survive. He's a Kerbal after all. That's what Kerbals do best. Okay. And go down to a decoupler. How much does that thing weigh? That thing weighs 0.13, that weighs 0.05. I don't need, even though it's nice and fancy, I don't need it. I can go with that. Does this have a blader? Suppose I should put heat shield on. Coming back from the mud may be a little fast. Okay. So let's now make a service module, service stage, tanks. So it's going to be a monoprop. Oops. Okay. By the way, the round 8 actually holds more than it really should. And I know that because of all the work that I've been doing with this other fellow on the forums about the rebalancing, which we're doing of these other two mods. So now, let's see here. That would work, but let's see if I can find something a little nicer than that. So that'll work right. That is a liquid fuel. Great. Okay. And RCS. Now, in case anyone asks, I have not yet put any sort of life support in to the game. All right. Great. All right. That should be fine. And in terms of the... Okay, so this end, these parts have 12, nearly 1300 delta V. Great. All right. So now, let's get a decoupler. Oops. That looks awfully funny. No, that's not good. Oh, that's the wrong one. That's not what I wanted. This is what I want. Hopefully that'll work nicely. Oops. Great. Alright, so that looks like it's going to do a good job. Hello, Bronco. I'm doing good, and how are you? And 69 KUNT 42Q. Welcome. Welcome to the stream. And let's not have any of the obvious jokes, please. The interstage does... Okay. I haven't used this part before, so I'm not sure how well it's going to work. So what I'm going to do is actually do a quick test launch in a minute of this whole thing. All right. All right. There we go. And this is going to be a test launch, so it's actually not going to. I will revert after I do a test. I'm actually going to use HyperEdit to get it up into the. Well, I can do a test without that. Okay, look at the engines. And launch clamps. Alright. Yep. Okay. So basically, I'm just going to launch it until it gets up in the air. I'm going to stop the engines. I want to make sure the staging works right. And then I will come back and revert and go back in and continue the construction. Alright, and let's make sure that we don't do what I did the other day. Okay, so engines, clamps, stage, engine, stage. Great, okay. So this is a test. 3, 2, 1. Alright, that's good. Okay, I'm not worrying about maneuvering because I'm just going to revert it. And we're going to stage it now. And the staging does work. Okay, great. So I don't need another decoupler there. Good. Good little test. The nav ball hide button. Which button are we talking about? I'll have to go back and take a look at it. So bear with Coolini, keep that question, and I'll go out into in a minute, and we'll take a look at it. Okay? I might as well do it right now. Launch. Yes, I go for launch. Okay. Nav ball hide. Should be coming up in a moment. There we go. Okay. Nav ball hide button. Coolini. Talking about this. That's a nav ball options. I have a mod installed. Called a nav ball adjuster by Dizor, D-I-Z-O-R. Let me get the link and I'll post it here for you. Lets you specify a whole bunch of options on the nav ball. Direction cursor, you have ghost markers, etc. It's very useful. It lets you just makes it more usable. In terms of, you saw me dragging the nav ball, that's something you call Draggable Nav Ball by EHS. Again, it's another useful little mod. He also could drag the top like that, which is very nice. Okay. It's thinking. There we go. Cancel. Revert flag. There we go. Okay. I use CCAN for, at this point, all except 2 or 3 mods. CCAN, for me at least, is indispensable. I would not be able to keep this game up to date without it. If you are doing just a few mods, that's one thing, but when you have 200 or 100 or even 50, keeping track of everything is just impossible. And making sure everything's updated properly. You can move it via the options menu, but here I can move it dynamically. Okay, I don't have to open the options. I just put the mouse there and I move it, and boom, it's done. And I can also move the thing on top, and that's very, very useful. Because you see right now that I am over here, I guess. I'm not sure where to put it. Anyway, I'm in the lower left corner of the screen right now, my picture, okay? And this way I can move my picture where I am in OBS, and I can move the nav ball, and depending on where I am, I can move things whenever to different locations, and I don't have to keep going in and out of the options. The whole idea is to make it easy to use. All right, and while Squad has done an amazing job with the game, they can't do everything. So we try to we add things as necessary. Hello, in order to use it the way we want to use it. So that's a 3-minute 1.14. Great. All right, so that's actually pretty good delta V, but the TWR is a little low, so I am going to add some boosters. Okay. Now I don't have any big solid rockets at this point, so my boosters are again going to be liquid. Actually, want 45 like that, and I am going to put fins on just because I happen to like the way the fins look, and they're useful just in case. Make sure you have control of the vessel. That's a 3-minute burn, 40. I may actually, I think what I'm going to do is this. It's going to be the biggest vessel in this career to date. Okay. TWR sucks, of course, but that's what the boosters are going to be for. And engines. All right, that gives us 1.48. Okay, now let's put nose cones on there. All right, so hopefully the double chutes here. I will put some more chutes on, but again, the whole idea behind the chutes is that stage recovery will be able to do a nice job of picking things up. Color-coded cans. Really, it's a usability thing. If it's color-coded, you can look at the color and immediately know what it is. With stock, I pull up the tanks, and even with KW, and I look at this, and some of them, it's hard to tell from here what size they are. Okay, that's one reason why I added to Janitor's Closet this, where you can actually filter by size. So I can hide all, and I can show only the size 2s. Okay, or I can show the size 1s, but there's nothing visual which makes it obvious what size they are. So the color-coded cans lets you do that. You also have they may be more or less efficient than stock. It's hard to say. I am working on putting Jebediah into an orbit around Kerbin and then an orbit around the Mun, and then obviously coming back. And I'm using mostly KW rocketry stuff for this. Hello, that's no good. Oops. No, don't like that. Let's do this again. And this is using editor extensions. Let me verify my keys. Strut fuel U. There we go. All right. So using that, those fuel lines do two things. First of all, I'm setting it up to be an asparagus staging. Okay. But the second thing is that the fuel lines also act like struts. A form of hyperedit is in the stock game, but it's not the same. It is very limited. It's really more for testing than anything else. No, stock stage recovery is not in the game. Not at all. The hyperedit, kind of, but again, hyperedit does a lot more than that. So let's see what we got here now. We have main stage here. Okay, which is 1.02. Let's move this back down there. Main stage, initial stage has a 1.46 TWR. Okay, and then we stage, and the parachutes get deployed. Actually, I'm going to pop them up. Well, we'll leave it the way it is. Okay. And then when that stage is done, we stage up here. Okay. And then it gives us enough. That should be enough to come back. So basically, this whole rocket's going to the Mun. Okay. Because why not? No need for that here. At least I don't think there is. Basically, with the way these things are, by having these parachutes on the outside, believe it or not, it's going to cause just enough drag to pull them away a little bit. At least that's the theory. I'm trying to avoid putting Separtons on everything. Maybe I'll need them later on, but right now I don't think I do. So, and that's pretty much it. Jebediah is not doing any science. We've done plenty of science around there, so I think that I'm all set. Jebediah, and let's go. Checklist. Spaceship. Control source. Okay, forget RCS, I have that. SAS, power source. I suppose I should put some power solar panels on. Solar. Let me make sure it's not blocking his cat hatch. Nope. Okay. Okay. There's a little bit of solar there. That should be enough for that. And electricity storage, I'm not going to bother. It's the type of thing, I think that I'm being a little paranoid here. The launch button is red, because these things here, this is awareness checker, and awareness checker is saying that the checklist isn't fully complete. Okay, in this case, RCS has a bug. Awareness checker, it's no matter what I do, it's going to stay red. Electricity storage, if I need to put a battery on, I'm deliberately not putting a battery on, so I can ignore it. It doesn't prevent it from launching. It's just saying, you know, you got a problem which you might want to take a look at before you launch. Okay, so we got that. Jebediah is there, and let's go ahead and launch. I'm gonna review the staging just before we take off. Bronco, I suppose it's possible that 1.2.9, which is in beta, they may have a form of stage recovery, but I'm not aware of it. Okay. And looks like it's going to be a night launch, so let's go to the contracts. Open info, Kerbal alarm clock. Move that up there. Okay, great. All right. So Jebediah's training flight is going to go into orbit and then to the Mun and then hopefully back again. Oh. And where is gravity launch? Gravity turn. We're going to go to altitude of 80, which is good. And 3, 2, 1. Hold your ears and launch. We got 10 engines running right now. Each one of those is a pair. What a beautiful sight. Engines are running good. We're at 2,000 meters at 150 meters per second. So far everything is good, and Jebediah, well, he thinks he's an old hand at this. We'll see. Last week I had a problem with Dang It, and I removed it. It's the one major change I've made to the game. Dang It, for what I'm trying to do here, well, also last week I didn't have any volume. I can now hear, but last week I almost lost the Kerbal because I couldn't hear the stage, the thing. Hold on a second. Staging. It actually looks like that went good. We have a beautiful sunrise. And we are continuing to go up. Let's get the Delta V stats. Just so we have it here. Great. Okay, believe it or not, we are still accelerating, even though our TWR is less than 1. It's 0.9 right now. But we're high enough and we're going horizontally enough that we're it's going to be a little tight to get to orbit, maybe. Hopefully we'll get there. I don't like what I'm seeing here. Okay, time to unhops this. What's happening is that this is underpowered, and gravity turn is trying to compensate for it by going up. The gravity turn is currently set to keep the time to POPSIS at about 50 seconds, Unfortunately, we're at 43. We're getting back up there, but that's why it's pointing up rather than horizontal. And as you can see, it's now beginning to correct. So it cost us a little bit of fuel, but I think we'll be okay. Okay, we're at 55 kilometers, going 1,100 meters per second. In case anyone has any questions, I have not even downloaded 129 yet, and I don't intend to. There's going to be a lot of work for me once 1.3 drops, and I'm not going to spend any time with 129 because they have not really released any of the information I need in order to update all my maps. Mainly the localization stuff. And until that information is available, I'm going to continue working with what I got. Alright, so gravity turn thinks we're okay. We're more horizontal now, and continuing our burn up to an 80 kilometer orbit. Kapopsis is currently at 74 kilometers. So just out of curiosity, we lost something, a fuel duct, but I think here, according to this, gravity turned down here, according to this, we recovered stages. Okay, so that's good. So you saw how the engines actually moved away. I really should have had the decouplers more centered rather than as far down as they were. It would have been a nicer separation. But I think we'll be okay. Our speed right now is, we're approaching an orbit, 2,000 meters per second at 78 kilometers high. And we still have 3,000 delta V left. We probably have another 300 meters per second before this burn is finished. Okay. A 6-second burn in about 1 minute, and then we will be in orbit. There we are. We have now achieved orbit. We have 2,900 delta V left over. I think that's more than enough. Okay. So, we have now fulfilled the first part of the contract. We've got into an equilateral orbit. So now we need to get into the MUN orbit. Alright? MUN. MUN is right there. Set it as a target. And you know something? Oh, it's I'm going to try something. I'm just going to try eyeballing, which I normally don't do, but I think that we're close enough Let's see what happens. And again, I have enough delta V that whatever goes on, I'm sure that I can correct it. Zebediah is impatient. He wants to get there and get back. Yep, and look at that. We got an intercept. Great. So that intercept will be a PE of 600,000. Great. Which means that once we get there, we will then be able to make orbit and then just pretty much leave orbit right away. So let's just go over to here. Actually, let's see if we have a crew report. I don't think so, but... And I didn't put an antenna on. Right. No crew report, right. Okay. Warp here. If you're losing stability after SRB separation, then your balance is changing. You may, we'd have to see pictures, but it almost sounds like maybe they're too far forward or what. I don't know. But it'd be nice to see it. Okay. And I'm not a space plane expert, but that's kind of what. Usually when that happens, people. Just it's something going on with the balance. Crew report? Nope, not there. Okay. All right, so let's go over to here. Well, actually, what I want to do is I want to get pointing retrograde. And then I'll do my warp. Because we're going to need to slow down. So Squishchin, if you could post a picture, maybe we can take a look and give you some help. Okay. Up to the SOI. That's an interesting curve, which we're doing there. Alright, we are now in the Minmus SOI. Great. Periapsis will circularize briefly. Alright. And let us get pointing that way. Target, and now we'll. I don't think there's a crew report available. Nope, because we've been here already. Add alarm, and let's go. Okay, it is a 7-second burn in 54 seconds. And we are perfectly aligned. And so I'm a few seconds late, not a big deal. We have now made orbit, we have completed the mission, but in my mind the mission in this case won't be complete until we get him back home. Okay, let's check for a crew report. No. Okay. Maybe I can go EVA. EVA report. Yes, we got something there. Keep experiment and board. Okay. So, basically we need to go around and over here add a maneuver in which we will that should do it. And add alarm. And actually what I want to do is to warp to here. Because I want to make sure that we're pointing in the right direction. Getting close there. Okay. Get ourselves lined up. There. Okay. Now, there we go. Now we can go ahead. Let's go here, up to the SOI. ETT is the electronic engineering tech tree. All right, let me see if I can get a link for it for you. Engineering tech tree, there it is. Here's a link to the engineering tech tree. Does a very good job of explaining it. And let's see, that was not a good maneuver I did. I burned too soon. And what I'm going to have to do here is, unfortunately, I'm going to have to re-enter the SOI that I messed up. Yeah. Maybe I can avoid the SOI. Yeah. Okay, we're going to enter the SOI a little bit, but then we'll come out. This is going to be a 500 meter per second burn in about 11 minutes. It's a 24-second burn. I have more than enough. So let us get to yes, I'm using ETT, the engineering tech tree. Straight stock has a tendency to you get too much for individual research, in my opinion anyway, and this makes it more challenging. KSP is not going to come out on the switch, I'm sorry. It just requires too much. Okay, so we have 24-second burn and 57 seconds. You have to think about how much CPU is needed to even on a basic game. The physics calculations are incredible, and it's amazing that it works as well as it does. All right. We have a burn, 24-second burn in about 12 seconds. We will start the burn. This is going to be a full power burn instead of my normal thing of easing it in. There we go. Yes, I know this vessel was way overbuilt. I always do it. Something which I may want to do one day is to actually start doing missions which you basically give it just enough to do what you need. They're not going to get it onto the mobile platform. There are some kind of similar mobile apps, but KSP is not going to go there, I'm sorry to say. Alright, so now let's just time warp a little bit. Oh. See, I told you we're back in the SOI. Let's warp there. Now we're out of the SOI. Our PE is 2.5 million, so we'll use that, and we will, from the 2.5 million, we will reduce and come back into atmosphere. Whoa. PE of 24, I want to go to PE of 35 there. 28, 30, 31, 33. Alright, so that is 800 meters per second. I could jettison this first stage, the current stage, and use the other engine for the final burn. This one is mostly out of fuel at this point. Alright, so why don't I do that? I'll tell you why I don't want to do that, because I end up leaving more space junk. So I'm not going to do it. What I will do is get myself maneuvered here. Oops. Get myself angled correctly, so there we go. Something. Excuse me a second, I just got a memory warning. I need to fix that. Don't ask me why, I still had 9 gig of memory available, but it said KSP was using too much. Strange. So I just gave myself back another 1.5 gig by stopping a process. Don't know why it's objecting to that. But that's Windows for you. Alright. Alright, so now let's go ahead and just... Whoa! What happened? Oh, I didn't add the alarm. Crap. Oh well. Add... don't add, we'll get rid of that. Add maneuver here. And okay. And yes, Jebediah is going to go to sleep because it's going to be 12 days before we get back. Oh, we almost ran into the mun again. Alright. This is a 29-second burn. And what's going to happen, that's a pretty steep thing. So what I'm going to do, once the burn is done, I'll jettison the stage. Then I'll flip over and I'll just raise my periapsis a little bit. So, but this way I try to avoid some additional space junk. I don't have a favorite. Janitor's Closet, I guess. It's the most comprehensive. But right now I'm working on Suicide Burn. I'm getting some more white hairs out of it, but I am having fun writing it. It's the whole idea. It's just, for me, coding is fun. Writing the mods is fun. Let me do the burn. Okay. And but is there a single favorite mod? Not really. I'd have to go through the whole list. I have a lot of them at this point. Okay. So we're getting into the atmosphere in a moment. The periapsis. Okay, we are done. Okay. So let's get rid of that. What I'm going to do now is jettison. Okay. And I made sure that I looped out so I wouldn't run into it. I'm going prograde right now. I just want to raise my periapsis. It's a little too low, but again, I did that to make sure that the booster would get down there. I want to get it to be about 35. There you go. 35. Alright. Alright. So now we'll just go prograde. We'll just stay there. And let's see what we're doing, how we're doing here. Monoprop, we've only used about half of it, which was pretty good. Great. And now when I first started playing the game, I got into a very high elliptical orbit, and I made sure that the bottom actually went through the planet, and then I time warped, and it went so fast that it just bounced through the planet and didn't get into the atmosphere. I couldn't understand why until someone explained to me that it's because of the inefficiencies of the calculations. Suicide burn will let you do a suicide burn landing pretty much the way that SpaceX is landing their booster rockets. Fall into the last absolute moment, and then you burn at full thrust and come to a soft landing. Okay, so now we'll go over here. I'm assuming. Oh, I guess it must have gone in already. All right, but I don't see the booster which I let loose. All right. Well, up here, it looks like. So what I'm going to do once I get into the atmosphere, I'm actually going to ignite the booster again to slow myself down a little bit more, because it looks like I'm actually going to. I may actually skip out. So we are at an altitude of 64. I'm going to lower the apopsis until such time as it's low enough, or as I start getting too much heat effects, and then I'll just jettison. It's automated. It doesn't do a count. The whole idea is that, oops, hold on a second. Suicide burn will do the burn for you. You can look on the forums for suicide burn mod. You can actually see a demo of the way of it working, which is up on YouTube. Okay. And I'll get a link to that in just a minute as soon as I get this guy down. Okay, so we are doing good. We're at 46 kilometers. We're getting our effects. Let's just keep on burning down. Apopsis is down to 220. Periapsis down. We're fine. Okay, let's jettison. Now what I'm doing here. I always want to make sure that we don't bump into it, because it's happened to me more than once. Coolini, it actually does it for you. All right. I'm going in here. Let's see if I can find it. Read about it here. Okay. And it looks like we've made it. Okay, I'm not sure where we are on Kerbin. We're at 18,000 meters high. And there we go. Still going too fast for our parachutes, but that's gonna. Oh, there we go. We just fixed it. What do you mean by get the gear? Suicide burn. It's well, it's best read the script, read the forum. I'm not trying to put you off, but it says everything that I would say. It's not a part. If you're in sandbox mode, it'll be available. If you're in career or if you're in science mode, it'll be available if the Kerbals or the probe controls on board have sufficient capability. It is configurable, so if you don't like that, you can always change it. I am going to just pop my parachute in a moment, like right about now, but I'm not sure exactly where I am. I don't know if there are any mountains around here. So we'll do that. Okay. It's danger alerts telling me we're getting close to the ground and we were going too fast. Nothing to worry about since we had the chutes out. I meant to actually do a another EVA, but that's okay. All right. Let's get this down to the ground. Water, not ground. All right. So do we have any crew report from here? No. Okay. How about an EVA? EVA report? Nope. However, I'm going to take a surface sample, which I've never done before, and board again, and now we can recover. All right. Mission over. It's actually going to be the end of the stream tonight, because for me it's 12 o'clock and I start work at 6. So I need to go to bed and get some sleep. It'll do the landing gear. It'll pop the chutes if you turn on the options. Okay. And like I said, if you look at that link, you can see a two working successful landings, one on Kerbin and one on the Mun. All right. So we got 91 science, okay, and we got lots of money back. Crew, ooh, he's up to level 4, right? Because he finished that contract. Great. So let's take a quick look here. We have the docking and the 6 tourists, which I'll do next week. Okay. So that's pretty much it. Thank you very much all for showing and for sticking around. I realize I'm not the best player, but hopefully you get entertained. I can answer questions, and you know, all in all, we have a good time. In the meantime, let me see if there's anybody following, playing right now, who I want to do a host to. Jim Milenti. Let's go over and say hi to Jim. You can tell him it's a LGG raid. Host JIM. Yeah, let me. Oh, I guess it helps if I paste in the link, right? Copy link address. Paste. So let's go there, and I'll also host him. JIMEILLENTE. There we go. Have a great night, all. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next week.